Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Gamer Dad channel. Today we have Ghost Recon on the chopping block. So it's been a while since I've talked about Ghost Recon, probably somewhere going over a week, and that's because I took a short break, and I'm happy to be back on the YouTube circuit. I think a lot of things are basically positioning themselves to happen, and some of them are exciting, some of them are just interesting, will be more educational than anything else, but I guess we'll talk about them when they happen. I'm talking to you, Rainbow Six Extraction. Anyways, I've been on this particular interest run and playing an old Ghost Recon game. Some of you know that. Some of you advise that I do. And so I'm taking that into consideration. And I have to say, it's an enjoyable experience. So right now I'm on Ghost Recon Future Soldier. I didn't start from the old Ghost Recon game. And I wanted to go ahead and just talk a little bit about why I believe Ghost Recon Future Soldier, if possible, some of the old Ghost Recon games will benefit from a remake or a remaster at this point. Now, I think even a spiritual successor at this point may be somewhat nice, but I think a remaster is something that they could use to kind of test the groundwork as to the interest for games like that. And I think there are a set of communities within the Tom Clancy universe that will patronize a single player Tom Clancy game that has a very interesting story, a lot of action, shooting, and some of the things that really made Ghost Recon special in the time that it was released, in my own opinion. So I'm currently in this set of missions where I'm using a lot more gadgets. At first, you get the drone, which if you've played Breakpoint or if you've played Wildlands, you realize that this is something that was taken from the old Ghost Recon games. And then you also have a drone car of some sort. Now, I have never played this game before, and from seeing Rainbow Six Siege, I thought to myself that Rainbow Six Siege actually introduced this mechanics. Now, some of you may shout and say, oh, no way. This mechanic was there since the day of, and I haven't played any other game where I've seen it. And so the first time I ever got to see something of that nature being used in real time was in Rainbow Six Siege. But to my shock and to my surprise, apparently Rainbow Six Siege was not the game that actually came up with that mechanic. In fact, the mechanic that you see in Ghost Recon Future Soldier has like an EMP blast as well that disorients a bunch of the bad guys. Now, guess what? In playing this particular set of, sequences, it didn't necessarily clue me into saying, oh, so this is where Ghost Recon got all this stuff from. Actually, it went to the place in my mind where I was like, wow, this game is like some sort of an ancestral form of Tom Clancy's The Division. You see, for a Division player like myself, who's played the first and second game, I can tell you that one of the biggest attractions is the ability to be able to use a lot of the technological aspects of the game. The Division doesn't have any stealth mechanics, so everything that you're using is either to help your teammates or to directly or indirectly damage enemy NPCs. So everything is somewhat technical in a sense, and even your weapons don't necessarily deal weapon damage like a traditional weapon would do. And so in light of all of that, I thought to myself and said, it appears to me that a lot of ideas from the Ghost Recon games were actually placed inside of the Division from a technical aspect as well. Now, I have also in the past spoken about some of the different gameplay aspects like cover-to-cover mechanics, which the Division basically takes from Ghost Recon Future Soldier and just enhances and makes it the smoothest cover-to-cover system that's in the industry right now. There is no other movement system in terms of cover-to-cover that is out there that's better than the Division 1 or Division 2. It's not even an argument. You have to play it for yourself and find out what's going on. Someone even said in the comment section one time and said that the cover system in the Division universe is above reproach. That is a high compliment. You can't find much stuff like that out there. But it wasn't necessarily an idea that stemmed from Ubisoft Massive. Now, I'm not saying it's also unique to the Division or even Ghost Recon Future Soldier or whatever other game is out there. I'm just saying that the polish that, was added to it in releasing the 2016 and even 2019 iterations of the Division, which are Tom Clancy games, was something that was quite interesting to see. But in looking at all of these different aspects and looking at the technical side of things, I think right now, what a lot of studios are doing is tapping into their old libraries and reintroducing some of their games because, in my opinion, I think they believe that these games are going to set the foundation to introduce the new demographics of gamers to what it is exactly that they have to offer as they're bringing out newer versions of these. Now, if you go back, you're going to see there's a game called Blood Rain. It just re-released a bunch of, you know, the old Blood Rain games. If you look at GTA Defective Edition, that's what they're calling it right now on the internet. I just had to throw that in there. These are some of the games that have gone back to their old libraries to take some games out of them and basically deliver it to everybody who may be nostalgic or some people who may just be interested to see what these games are about. I think a game like Ghost Recon Future Soldier will benefit tremendously, not only from the side of just the Ghost Recon franchise, but even the general Tom Clancy franchise as a whole. You see, a lot of people played that game even in the past. Now, I'm not saying it's something that's going to generate sales in terms of its own, you know, specific game. No. I don't think that there's a lot of interest really in that. But if they did a remake at this point, say if they just went ahead and say, you know what, why not do something better than a remaster and take the approach that they're trying to take with some of their other IPs, like, you know, the announcements that they've made about Prince of Persia and all of the above, and go do a remake. This may actually create a lot more interest, and they can basically organically get the Ghost Recon community right now to at least even try that game, and even some aspects of the Division community and even the Rainbow Six community. So I think the Ghost Recon argument that I'm making here, or the argument that I'm making here, is one that says, how can they start looking for how to unite the Tom Clancy community under very minimal banners than having them feel like entirely separate planets. If you think about Rainbow Six Siege is a PvP game, you know, basically exclusively a PvP game. And for somebody like me, I'm not necessarily a PvP shooter person. I prefer to play fighting games. I prefer to play other competitive games. And so I think one way that, you know, a game like The Division was able to appeal to me was that it had a strong PvE emphasis and also has some kind of a PvP emphasis. It's not the greatest PvP emphasis in terms of The Division 2, and even for The Division 1, it wasn't necessarily too great for me, but for many in that community, they'll say it was great. And I think that was able to appeal to people as well. And even the Ghost Recon Future Soldier, back in the day when it had its servers still running, there was a PvP experience that you could also get into and also enjoy the PvE story as well. So I think that's something that Ubisoft needs to start learning to do in order for them to basically take Tom Clancy and just make it at the core a very solid franchise that centers around action shooters. Call of Duty has been able to enjoy, even though right now for many it seems like it's going stale, has been able to enjoy this recognition over the years because they've been able to basically rally a lot of their players under a banner of very few and minimal changes to the entire franchise. Like one year they'll do a Black Ops game, the next year they'll do a regular Call of Duty game, and then they'll do a few zombie things and add maps. There really isn't much that they've done on a broad spectrum, and I'm not trying to compare Call of Duty with the Tom Clancy games. I'm just saying, in terms of franchises that continue to repeat themselves, there is no reason why Ghost Recon should not at least explore this approach. Rather than going to Ghost Recon Frontline, I think this is a better proposition. In my opinion, this is a better option. And again, just in the last few hours, Ghost Recon turned 20 years. So when you look at the past 20 years and you look and say, man, at this point, has this game lived up to a lot of what the foundational, aspects of the first few iterations were able to bring to the gaming community? Have they been able to continue that tradition, to continue to build up the franchise, to make it more and more solid? The answer is not really. I think they're on the way there, but I can't believe it took them that long to be able to get to this point where we actually have a solid system in place with Ghost Recon Breakpoint. I'm hoping that the next Ghost Recon game is able to use all of its strengths, everything from the past 20 years, to be able to culminate into a solid experience where we don't have to wait 1 or 2 years for them to fix the game just like they did with Breakpoint. But these are my thoughts so far. I think you guys telling me to go play these old Ghost Recon games is over here twisting my mind and just warping a lot of my opinions that I had before I played them. And I really do appreciate you guys engaging in the conversation. But I'll end my video here. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we'll talk very soon. Stay tuned for more content. Peace out.